Coming up next is Dr. Kimberly Taylor. Here's your chance to talk about what matters to you. Although you will receive helpful advice from Dr. Taylor, remember, this is not to be construed as a form of psychotherapy, diagnosis, or treatment, and cannot replace a therapeutic relationship with a mental health professional. You can reach Dr. Taylor by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. You can also listen live on the internet at drkimtaylorshow.com. So here now is Dr. Kimberly Taylor.
Have you ever tried to forgive someone and then found it almost impossible to let go of the negative feelings and the hurtful memories? Do you play it over and over in your own head and come to the same conclusion, that to forgive them would be like letting them off the hook and having them believe that it really was no big deal and you're okay and now you're over it? Well, we've all been hurt by the wounds or actions of others at some point in our lives. And whether we were treated badly or betrayed or our hearts were broken, we have all suffered at the hands of another person. But the problem becomes is that many can become trapped in their suffering long after the wounds are inflicted, and they can have a hard time letting go. But we need to learn to let go. We need to let go and be able to forgive. Not because what happened doesn't matter, but so that you can move on and be happy again without carrying the burden that not forgiving bears. We seem to be able to heal and recover from physical wounds. In fact, our bodies are very good at that. But we also need to be able to recover from the emotional wounds that we can suffer in our life. And believe me, I know how hard it can be to forgive. And while the person who hurt you may not deserve to be forgiven, what I do know is that you deserve to be free from their selfish, painful, and even evil behaviors. So what is forgiveness? What do we mean by that? Well, forgiveness is the act of letting go of the suffering caused by someone else. Now, we may not have had the choice of getting hurt, but we do have the choice to not be further injured by the pain of the past experience. Here is where we always have a choice. And what we know from our research is that forgiving, it can actually be good for the body as well as the soul. Physically, it can help to lower our blood pressure. It can help to reduce levels of anxiety, depression, and anger. And emotionally, people who are able to forgive, well, they feel happier. They feel more hopeful in their lives. And generally, they have better relationships with other people. So why is something that is so good for us really so hard to do? I think for the most part that we don't know how to do it. And there's no clear manual for getting past these betrayals or the disappointments and the hurts that have been caused. But I do believe that forgiveness can really pave the way in order for us to heal. When you think about it, it's not the initial pain that hurts you in the long run, because that's already in the past. And the truth is you've already survived that. But what will hurt you the most is holding on to the pain and suffering and letting it continue to grow and then live within you for years and years. Not only has the other person already shown you that they don't care about your feelings, but by not letting go, you stay bound to them in a very unhealthy way. And the only one who really suffers now is you. So we have to be able to walk out of our pain. We have to be willing to say, I no longer choose to be bound to you in this unhealthy way. In letting you off the hook, I am in essence letting myself off the hook from ever having to let you hurt me again. I know this is a process. I know this takes time. I also know it's not easy, but you can do it. So I want to give you some real reasons about why it's important to try. First, forgiveness allows us to take responsibility for our own happiness. Because by you saying, I forgive you, not because what you did doesn't matter, or that I will forget it or pardon the offense. No, I forgive you because I no longer choose to live with the anger and pain, and you cannot turn me into someone I am not. So I am forgiving you to release me, not you, so that I can be happy again. The second reason is that forgiveness allows us to look for the silver lining and to find our own strength. I do believe that there's something to be learned from every experience. So yes, even our enemies can help teach us and help us to grow. So I want you to ask, who am I going to become in the face of what has already happened? How can I be the person that I will be proud of? When you can answer that and do that, you will regain your strength. The third reason why it's important to forgive is that by forgiving, it helps us to stop playing the victim card. And I know it can be tempting to let the past injury kind of dictate how you need others to see the pain that you have suffered. But I want you to know that every time you blame others, you're really giving up your own power to move forward. So as horrible as that past hurt was, you have to vow to yourself to let it go and to consciously avoid any similar situations in the future that would put you in that victim role. And I want you to stay focused on the present and let go of the past. The fourth reason for forgiveness is that forgiveness teaches us about compassion. When we can really release others from their thoughtless actions and understand that for the most part, people are trying to do the best that they can with their individual levels of awareness and understanding. And if they could have done better, they would have done better. Sometimes knowing where the other person was coming from helps us to see that they must be in need of a blessing. So bless them and let them go. You will feel better about this when you can finally get to that point. And then number 5, forgiveness allows you to heal yourself. Holding on to your hurt and waiting for someone else to get it or to change in order for you to get better, it's a waste of your time and your energy. By you choosing to forgive, you actually open up a space within yourself to let new people and new experiences into your life that can bring you love and support. And bottom line, living a successful and happy life is the best revenge against your enemies. So I want you today that if you're having difficulty getting over someone who has hurt you or betrayed you in the past, and even if you have a question for me, I really encourage you to call in today because we're going to help you move forward so that you can let this go and move on without carrying this burden with you. So just give me a call at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. I'm going to be here for the next hour. Don't go away. I need to take a quick break, but I'll be right back to take your calls. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
We're on the phone now with Melissa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How can I help you?
Well, this is really the first time I've ever spoken with a true professional, a psychiatric professional, about this topic. In fact, most of my life was swimming along, sort of dealing with everything on my own, I think, okay. But I'm starting to think that maybe I do need someone else's opinion. Basically, I have never a good relationship with my mom, ever. As far back as I can remember, she has her own mental health issues. And so now, as an adult, now that I know what I know, her diagnosis explains all of the ups and downs that I remember from a very young age. There was some abuse, mostly emotional, but occasionally some physical. Again, and I look back on that, and I used to think, wow, I survived that pretty well. I think I turned out okay. Mm-hmm. And I think, by and large, I did. But the tricky part is that she remains a part of my life because I'm an only child. And just finding the right way to do the right thing, which is include her in my life and in my children's lives, but all the while doing that with a very suspicious eye, trying to keep an eye on things and watching her behavior and her moods because they can turn on a dime. And also a lot of feelings of guilt over the fact that I have very little feelings for her. I do everything that I do out of just responsibility and guilt. I think I'm a compassionate person, but I have very little compassion for her. And that's the part that I really worry that my kids are going to start to pick up on.
Okay, let me kind of jump in here for a moment. How much contact do you have with your mother?
Quite a bit. She lives very close to me. We see her as often as I allow, which is usually once or twice a week. I think if she had her way, she would be in our lives much, much more, but I can't handle that. It's too much for me to try and manage the situation of creating this environment where I'm looking like we're including her and we're being open and welcoming, but all the while I'm watching her every move.
Okay. And when you mention that she has a problem, that she in the past has had physical and emotional abuse towards you, does that continue today? Is she still verbally abusive?
As an adult, I come at it from a different perspective. But yes, she can be very short and moods turn on a dime and can say very harsh things.
And what is the diagnosis that your mother has?
Bipolar.
Okay. And is she covered by a psychiatrist and on medication?
Off and on, yes.
Okay.
Currently, the answer is sort of.
Okay.
She's coming out of a period where she was with an excellent psychiatrist and therapist team, and then she got to the point where she felt like she was doing great, and she has cut ties.
Okay, because one of the major problems with somebody who does have bipolar is medication compliance, because they don't like the fact that their moods are stabilized and they kind of like the highs. And so when they start to get into the manic phase, they kind of keep it going, and they might stop the meds and they might get rid of their doctors at that point in time. But she's had a history of this, and I'm curious, what have you told your family and your children about their grandmother?
Well, my husband, who's a saint, knows most everything. He knows everything. I try and shield him a little bit from the day-to-day ups and downs. My children are young, though, and that's another great point. I worry about that in the future, too, when they're a little bit older.
Okay, so they're
young.
So they're how old now?
3 and 6.
Okay, so you aren't going to be able to explain to them what is going on with your mom, but that it really needs to be looked at, that your mom has a disease. She has an illness, and to think about it just like any other illness, but her illness is of the mind. And so you have to treat her as if she is a person who is sick, and not to continue to take it in a personal way that your mother is doing these things to you, but rather that because of what's going on with your mother and she has a mental illness, that these are some of the symptoms that you're seeing, where she can be very rude, very critical, very judgmental. She can have outbursts. She can get very angry. Her moods can change. But it is part of her illness. But for you, it's going to be really important that you protect yourself and your family from her when she is like this.
that's basically the position that I'm in now.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how to do the right thing by her, helping her. Because, for example, I know if I were to truly cut off ties with her because I felt like she was in a place that was dangerous or not the right place to be around the kids, if I were to cut all ties, the fear that that would have a dramatic and final action on her point. So it's constantly trying to figure out how to do the right thing.
Right now, first and foremost, your job is to take care of your children and to keep them protected, and that needs to be the priority. Second from that is that you need to be able to set really clear boundaries so that you stay healthy and role model healthy behavior and healthy interactions. That as soon as she no longer is making those healthy choices, that you need to tell her, Mom, I love you, but I don't like what you're doing right now. This is one of those times that I think that you definitely need to be talking to your therapist or talking to your psychiatrist, because I'm seeing a change in you. And when I see this change in you, I can't allow you to be around my children because you're not safe.
Those are great words to share. I'm committing those to memory.
Okay. One of the things that I see a lot of is, especially with people who have a member of the family who is bipolar, if that person is not following their medication and really working with that, the family can be held hostage to the changes in mood and the temperament of the person who has it. And so it's really very important that you start to see that you cannot love her or try to work with her just through guilt. Because through guilt, you're not making the best choices for yourself, and you're not role modeling the kind of structure and boundaries that someone like this needs in their life. They are going to be...
I never looked at it from that perspective.
They are going to be angry at you, and they're going to try and get you to see things their way, but looking at the world through their filter when they're off their medication is not rational, and it can get very dangerous if you keep going along, letting them manipulate the situation.
Well, there have been many times where I've said similar things to her and cut her off. My concern is that I didn't do it in the best possible way to not create further problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what you said.
If she was in her right mind, she would not want you to allow her to act this way in front of her grandchildren or with you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you.
One of the hardest things to do is to set these kinds of limits because you feel sorry for the person, but you really can't let them run your life.
Okay, that's a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone into therapy for yourself to just talk about how to manage your feelings about your mother and how to set these safe boundaries so that you can feel good about what you do and not feel like you're being a bad daughter and feeling guilty about what you need to do with your mother?
I haven't, but that's sort of what's been bubbling up recently, thinking that maybe it's time to do that.
I think it would be really important for you to right now to just spend some time with a therapist who can support you with what are healthy boundaries. And it might be nice for you to feel like you have a support system to make yourself feel a little better about what you need to do.
That's definitely what I've been considering lately, just getting the courage and the time and everything to do it.
Well, it shouldn't take long, but to really be able to just see this from a completely different perspective and to start to see your mother as having an illness and an illness of the mind that makes her not the best person to try to logically, reasonably work these things out with.
Right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, and I wish you the best with that. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. We're on the phone now with Jack. Hi, Jack. How can I help you today?
Hi, Dr. Taylor. I called a while back, and you helped me out quite a bit, and I have another situation. I heard your topic was about forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And I have an ex-wife that I like to try and forgive, but every time I see her, we have two kids together, and Every time I see her, she just seems to stick the dagger in a little bit more and say something or do something that really irritates me, and she knows my buttons, and I'm trying to forgive her, and I just don't know. I can't let it go. I just can't seem to forgive her.
What are you trying to forgive her about?
She's being so mean, I think. I mean, I feel like I need to forgive her so I can move on, and it doesn't bother me a whole lot.
Well, I think the big point that we are talking about today is that by you holding on to the anger, it's hurting you more than it's hurting her.
I think so, yes.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like your ex is kind of mean. That's just who she is.
She just seems to be vindictive. I mean, she just, like I say, she knows how to push my buttons to get me mad, and I don't know why she keeps doing that.
Well, here is, I think, something that's very important in all of this. She's not doing anything that you don't allow her to do. And I really get that people can push our buttons, but the truth is, bottom line, not unless we let them.
Yeah, but I don't seem to be doing things to make her so upset.
Right, but she's just mean. She is vindictive, and she knows that it will rile you up, and so she does it. Not because of you, but because of who she is.
Yeah, I think she does. I think she knows that I'm happy and she's not.
Right, but what I'm...
So how can I let go of this?
First off, you have to see that you're choosing to get hooked. You're choosing to get triggered. That your ex-wife has not changed, and that's why you're no longer married to her, is because you didn't like who she was then. To let her continue to get to you is like saying, okay, I divorced you, but I still give you the right to bug me, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So what if you were to start to think that whatever she says and whatever she's doing is telling you the story about her and how unhappy she is and how resentful she is that you are moving on and that you are happy. But it tells you the story about her. It tells you nothing about yourself.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's this old saying that when people know better, they just do better. Obviously, your ex-wife doesn't know better. And so she's still moving at that same vibration that she did while you were married. And you can choose not to engage.
Yeah, I try not to get engaged with her. I mean, I just need to let it go in one ear and out the other easier than I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like you say, think about it's just her problem, not mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to remind yourself you left. So don't let her invade your space, because by holding on to this, it narrows the room that you have to love and be happy and have a good relationship with other people in your life. Because when we are holding on to that, that actually takes up space. And so you get to choose and really take back your power. Don't give away your power by letting what she does or what she says affect you.
Okay, I'll give that a shot. I'll give it a try.
What do you think would...
Good. It's just that you'd think that she'd learn, because the kids are starting to turn on her a little bit, because she still talks mean things about me to the kids, but the kids know better. They understand that I'm actually the good guy and she's not the good mother. And
when you do that, then you are going to be able to let her go also.
Okay.
And that you will no longer be in relationship with her in such a sick way that it then changes who you are. Let this be an opportunity for you to grow here too, and to understand some people just have difficulty being nice to others. They don't play well with other people.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you have to get in there and play with them if you don't choose to.
Right.
So just
I'll give that a try.
Just smile. Just let it, like Teflon, it just hits and it rolls right off, and keep moving and keep having your happy life. That's the best revenge that we can have with people like this, is to not let it affect us and to go on and be happy in our lives.
Okay. Yeah, that might be just putting fuel in the fire. She knows that I'm getting upset about it.
Right. So don't engage.
Okay, well, I appreciate your advice.
Okay, good luck with that. Somebody's just mean and nasty. Let them just be mean and nasty, but let them not have an audience to participate with. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll-free at 866-564-1290.
Today we're talking about forgiveness. Are you holding on to any hurt or anger from a past experience? Can you see how holding on to it is only hurting you now? In order to begin the process of forgiving, there are a few steps that you can take. The first one is that you have to really honestly acknowledge your hurt and the pain that it has caused. Number 2 is you have to recognize the fears and self-doubt that it has caused within you. Whenever we're hurt by someone else, it causes us to doubt ourselves and our own lovability. So you need to really be able to recognize this and understand where that comes from. The third one is you have to be willing to own any part that you may have played in letting it happen or letting it continue. The third is you have to be willing to own any part that you may have played in letting it happen or in letting it continue. This is a really important part because you have to accept it so that you can see that you can take back your power and not be a victim to others. Now, in some cases of child abuse where you were dependent on someone else, this is not going to apply. Number 4 is to try to understand where the other person was coming from and what emotional shortcomings caused them to treat you so badly or to act so poorly. Finding your compassion is going to ease your own pain. So lastly, with that understanding, you need to bless them and let them go. Yes, you heard me. Every time you think of them from now on, you have to say, I bless you and let you go. This is going to be able to help you to change the feelings inside you so that you no longer have to be bound to them in this very negative way. Be willing to release yourself from the burden of carrying this pain. So if you have a question today, or if you're having problems trying to let go and to forgive someone, I want you to get on the phone and give me a call. Just call me at 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. We're on the phone now with Mel. Hi, Mel. How can I help you?
Dr. Taylor, I would like to speak about anxiety. I have had problems with it on and off for many, many years. And what I have found is that the anxiety attack or episode arrives full-blown. It doesn't just creep up on me. And I'm wondering if you could help me with what kind of a conversation I could have with myself at that very onset of the episode that would begin to divert the confusion that I feel over this event and help me to get through it.
Mm-hmm. So you were saying that you would like a way to be able to really talk yourself down from this anxiety attack.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I'd like.
Okay.
Is to talk myself down before I get so confused that I can't even think.
Have you ever found a way to talk yourself down?
No.
Do you ever practice when you're not anxious, soothing yourself, reassuring yourself, telling yourself that you're going to be okay?
No, I haven't done that. The only thing I have really done rather diligently is meditation, but not during the episode. I do that just every morning, hoping that will keep my mind clearer, but it hasn't done that.
And does the meditation help you?
It helps me in other ways, but not during an episode of anxiety. It doesn't help me at all then.
It is important to know that we are always going to feel fearful that is part of our survival, that if we didn't feel our fear, we probably wouldn't still be alive. When something warns us that there may be possible danger, our body has a physical reaction, and it starts to get us ready to flee just in case we need to. What is happening is that you may not be using your feelings in a way that can be productive for you. In fact, what you're trying to do is just stop feeling the fear. And the more you work on that, probably the greater your fear gets, correct?
Yes, I think that's right. I am trying to get rid of the feeling.
What if instead of getting rid of the feeling, that you instead had this second voice, the second part of you that said to you, okay, all I need to do is check out, is there anything in my current environment that is going to cause me harm? Am I going to get hurt? And when you check it out so that you find out if there's anything that you need to respond to, and if not, then you can let your fear go because it has done its job. It has warned you of possible danger. But when you check it out and there is no danger, you can say, okay, thank you for warning me, and I can let that go now, and I no longer have to deal with that feeling.
Do you suppose it would actually go away?
Well, this is going to take a lot of practice, and it is going to take a lot of self-soothing to say, okay, I've checked it out. It was just a warning sign, but there is nothing going on, and whatever is going on, I can handle it. I can survive, so I can let this go.
So that's my conversation.
Well, there is a very healthy part of you, and I want you to come from that part when this is happening to you. Because you know that every time you get into this anxious state, you do know that it's not real, correct? Some part of you knows it's not real.
I'm not clear on that. I'm not certain of that at all.
Well, that the feeling feels real, but the fact about you being in danger is usually not true.
Yes, it's always not true. I've never found myself in danger.
So what if you were to just start to see this as a very unique survival system within each one of us that warns us of possible danger? So it's going to activate all of those responses in our body to get us moving quickly, just in case. Most of the time, why we get more anxious is because we're trying to stop the feeling. We start to get afraid of just feeling that big response within our body because then we think that we're going to die. And then we start to think about that. But if the warning system is just in place to warn you of possible danger and you're supposed to check it out, and if you do the checking out and realize, no, there's nothing that I need to flee, I don't need to get out of the way, there is no danger coming toward me, then you can do your breathing as you've learned in meditation, and you can concentrate on your breath work and let those thoughts go until your body comes back into its normal state of being. Not in that heightened state of danger, but in that normal state of being okay.
All right, I will try that. Checking out the reality seems like a good idea. I think that the fear is in my head, not outside of me.
That is true, and your body is having a physical reaction to that fear because it is preparing itself just in case. What I want to say to you is that the feelings that you're having inside are real because your body has had a certain response to a perceived danger. Your blood pressure has increased. Your heart rate has increased, getting you ready to flee just in case there is pending danger. What you're doing is that you're getting stuck on how you're feeling inside, and so it gets stronger and stronger because the warning system cannot go off because you still haven't checked out your outside environment. As soon as you check your outside environment, then the warning system can stop. It can stop trying to get your attention and get you prepared to flee. So if you could concentrate on not the internal workings that are happening, because that's just your body's response to a perceived fear, but check out the outside and assess whether you're going to be okay depending on what's happening in front of you.
This makes a lot of sense, and I'm not looking forward to another attack so that I can...
I wouldn't think so.
But I'm actually going to go write some things down and think about, I've made some notes already, and think about what you've said and try to begin looking on reality around me.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that help.
And then practice that and give us a call back and let us know how that goes.
All right, I will. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for your call. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290.
You are listening to Dr. Kimberly Taylor. You can reach her by calling 564-1290 or toll free at 866-564-1290.
I have an email here. It says, Dear Dr. Kim, about 10 months ago, I found out that my best friend slept with my now ex-boyfriend when I was dating him. I was devastated by the betrayal. She was the one I used to talk to about relationship issues. I thought I could trust her and considered her someone who would be my maid of honor one day at my wedding. Now I can see how my ex-boyfriend could betray me with my friend, but that's another email. But never in my wildest imagination did I ever see that she would be capable of destroying my heart. I am attending therapy to help me deal with the rush of feelings that overwhelm me. Despite her attempts to reach out and apologize to me, I have been unable to talk to her or see her for the fear that I will not be able to control the anger without feeling enraged and wanting to lash out at her and hurt her. I know I have a right to be angry. I know that it's not my shame to carry, but I am so mad at her. My friends and family tell me that I need to forgive her so that I can move on. But I feel that getting to a place of forgiveness robs me of my right to be mad, like I'm saying it's okay that you did this to me. I know this might sound crazy, but it's just how I feel. Will I ever be able to let this go? I miss my friend. Is it possible to forgive her and maybe even rebuild my friendship with her? Is that crazy? I'm so confused. I hate the anger that I feel all of the time. Help. Brianna. Well, Brianna, first I have to say that there is a certain pain, unlike all other pains, when a girlfriend betrays you. And as you say, you can somehow wrap your brain around perhaps that your boyfriend would do this to you. But the bond between best friends is sacred, and when this is broken by betrayal, the pain runs really deep. What I'd like to first tell you is you have to let yourself be mad, be very mad, and let your hurt out. You want to be able to process these feelings and not to hold on to them because that's what's going to hurt you. You trusted her, and she really let you down. But the next part of this is that you have to be willing to learn from this experience. You want to remind yourself that this person, she was not your friend. She was never your friend. Not because of something that you did, but because she tore up her friendship card the moment she decided to act on her jealous feelings and to sleep with your boyfriend, not caring about you. So I'd like you to get to the point of saying, I understand that what you did was because of who you are, and it had very little to do with me. Well, I felt the pain. The truth is, you are the one capable of hurting others and not caring because that is who you are. And I think it's really important here that you ask yourself the question, why would you choose to keep a friend that you cannot trust? You can miss the friendship or the friend you thought you had, but the truth is, she never was. People tell you who they are by their actions. You need to look at their behaviors to find the truth. And then what you need to do is believe them the first time. I'm sure your family and friends want you to forgive so that you can move on and not hold on to this anger. And really, by forgiving, it's not that you accept what she has done or that you have to trust her again. But the letting go really means that you no longer let her affect you and fill you with self-doubt or fears about your own worthiness. I can tell from this letter that you deserve to have a good friend because you're capable of being a good friend. So hold out for the real deal and let her go. We'll be right back after this break. I'm Kimberly Taylor, and you're listening to KZSB AM 1290. Okay, I've just had a quick email asking if there's a book that I might refer you to. There is one book. It's called Forgiveness is a Choice. It's a step-by-step process for trying to resolve your anger and to restore the hope. The author's name is Robert Enright, Enright. So it's really hard to be able to forgive and to be able to get to a point in your life that you can let go. But I want to let you know that it's even harder to live with the pain and to continue to suffer. It's true that none of us live in a vacuum, so we do have to be able to relate to other people, and therefore we're going to be hurt. And we're going to be disappointed in others. This is just natural. It's part of life. But don't let the hurt and pain of others dictate who you are going to be in this lifetime. And once more, this forgiving business, sometimes it's hard because you think that you really have to let somebody else off the hook. But forgiving does not mean that you forget. You don't have to condone their behavior. You don't have to ever trust them again. But you do need to learn whatever lessons there are and to be able to forgive so that you can move on with your life and be healed from any of these past hurts. So instead of shutting down when you get hurt and living with the pain, we want to help you to allow yourself to be free to live in joy and love and peace, for that's all that really matters in the end. If you have a question for me and would like to send it in, you can email me at drkim@drkimtaylorshow.com, and I welcome all of your calls and all of your notes and emails. If you want to listen to any past shows, you can find them posted on my website or download them for free as a podcast on iTunes. And once more, by just going to my website, you will find those. This coming Sunday afternoon, between 12 and 3 o'clock, I'm going to be taking your live calls and answering your questions, and you can check that out at my website for how to contact me on that day. All of that, again, is just at drkimtaylorshow.com. So as we close, I want to make sure to thank Sandy Jacoy and Richard Dugan. Thank you both for all of your help and all of the things that you do behind the scenes here. I'm going to be here again next Thursday afternoon between 2 and 3. And these shows will be rebroadcast Thursday evenings at 10 p.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. right here at KZSB AM 1290. So I hope that you will listen in. Meanwhile, I want you to have a really great week. And remember, nobody else has to change in order for you to get better. This transformation is not going to happen unless you are willing to do the work. The choice is up to you. So I'll be here next Thursday helping you to create the changes that you say that you want. Until then, be well. See you next week.